I couldn't believe that we were going there and that we were going to be trying to capture that on film.
My mouth dropped when we were going to do that.
Stay in there, boys.
Oh, brother, thank you so much.
The word is intense. It was scary.
That's an experience I will never forget for the rest of my life.
We're in it, man. This is an adventure now.
It feels big. It feels epic.
I was going back and forth between this is going to be awesome and this is going to be a complete disaster. It was an absolute roller coaster.
Let's roll sound. Let's make it right.
Walking on water. Where does one begin? 2 seasons ago, I said to Dallas, we were having dinner somewhere. I'm like, you gotta have the walking on the water. You gotta have it. And he's like, I don't know.
One of the rules from the jump for The Chosen has always been character over spectacle, relationship over special effects.
The whole point of The Chosen is to get it from being something that you're admiring as a painting, and instead, I want it to be something that you're viscerally experiencing and emotionally engaging with.
It's always been a mandate of Dallas's, is to make these stories personal. And really that's the thing he shoots best, is people having what we call emotional transactions in a scene. That was the only way that we know how to write, and to make these huge biblical moments mean something to us, because we can never have the authority or impact that the Bible does. We never will.
But then, as we were moving through season 3, this motif emerged of water.
We just started to kick around the idea that like water is this cleansing thing. It's also a destructive force. It's also used in metaphor after metaphor in the Bible.
You know, you have this issue of the cistern being broken. You have Veronica, the woman who had been bleeding, after she's healed, finally just throwing herself into the Sea of Galilee just to feel free. Then someone reminded us, like, it's in the theme song. And we're like, oh yeah, I guess walk on the water.
The walk on water scene, ultimately, when we were writing out season 3, it started to feel inevitable. Because the other reason that I didn't really want to do that scene was I wasn't sure what the emotional way into that was.
But then we're like, okay, he's not gonna walk on water in The Chosen unless there's a really good reason for it, and unless the things that Simon says to him on the water and the things he says back to him are not just words lifted off the page that have been there for thousands of years, but that are imbued with meaning.
In the scriptures, it almost seems just like this one-off scene where they just happen to be experiencing a storm and Jesus walks on water. Why does he walk on water? Why didn't he get in the boat with them in the first place? And other than proving that Jesus masters the wind and waves, I wasn't sure, well, what's the reason we would include this scene within the context of our story and our characters.
Our weird mandate as writers is to love our characters no more, no less than God does, which means that bad things happen.
He found a way into the scene emotionally that even just thinking about the actual scene makes me emotional. So the tragedy that Simon goes through, he and Eden, losing their baby, when Jesus could have prevented it if he wanted to. And the question comes up similar to the question that little James has, which is, how can you allow me to go through this?
We know what Simon is thinking when he steps out of the boat, because he says it. He says, if you are who you say you are, tell me to get out. And then they have just like kind of a knockdown, drag out fight right there on the water, where Simon is screaming at Jesus, I'm close to you, and you're not stepping in.
And Jesus tells him, because they prove the genuineness of your faith, they strengthen you. This is strengthening you. And I think Simon is not quite convinced. And he takes his eyes off Jesus. And the minute he takes his eyes off Jesus, that's when he starts to sink. That's when he goes down. That's when we all go down. The minute we take our eyes off Jesus, that's when we sink.
I think we wanted to underscore something I've talked about, which is the idea of, oh, if I'm following Jesus, I'm immune from certain things. No. In fact, in the book of Peter, interestingly, he says that trials prove the genuineness of our faith. And then it dovetailed perfectly with Eden going into the mikveh. That was the moment when I remember where I was at my desk, the window that I was looking out of, when we all sort of pulled that idea together to go back and forth, so that it's not just one big stormy spectacle on the Sea of Galilee, but it's also interwoven with this young woman in a mikveh going through a ritual bath and praying for her husband. So that it followed all of our rules about, no spectacle for spectacle's sake. If it happens, it has to be driven by relationship. And is that scene not driven by a lot of relationship?
It started to be like, we're setting up Simon in a way that he needs to have a confrontation with Jesus. He needs to express the faith and doubt that he's experiencing at the same time, and what exactly that looks like. Boy, that walking on water scene really would be an amazing way to do that. And so then when we got to the place where we thought, all right, we would love to write this now, and we have found the emotional and spiritual way into the scene, can we do it? So I texted our visual effects team and told them what we were thinking, and they said, I think we can do it.
I remember right before season 3, he came to Chris and obviously myself and goes, well, can't wait for you to read that episode because we're going to walk on water. And Chris and I are like, I'm sorry, what? And obviously he had been talking to Chris like, okay, if we were going to do this, what is it going to look like and how is it going to look? And again, proof's in the pudding.
So that's where they recognize that it's actually him, and that's when...
Yeah, the lighting flashes and they're like,
okay,
that's him, oh wow.
So before it was just, there's something there, we don't know what it is, it's creepy, and it gets that close, and that's when they go, oh, it's Jesus. And now, is that where the conversation starts?
No.
Between?
Well, I mean, yeah, there's, who are you and what are you doing?
Yeah.
And it's me, don't worry, that's where it starts.
Okay.
They go back and forth. Simon walks out, Jesus stays still. Mm-hmm. Simon takes a couple of steps and then falls.
So would he get maybe halfway?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Jesus would close the distance. Okay.
Jeez. It's just so exciting because the storyline itself is just so cool. Making it meaningful is the trick, and then I feel like that's been accomplished. And now the trick is to not detract from that. Audience is going to lose their minds.
First time we heard about doing Walk on Water was actually probably sometime during season 2. It came up as a possibility. We knew it could be possible, but we didn't know if it was going to happen. And so we started the conversations really early on. And it started out as just paintings, references.
It's hard to establish a look for something that is not necessarily plausible. What would it have been like?
We looked at how other people had done it in the past, and when we were kind of finished chuckling about it, we decided if we're going to do it, we're going to do it better. It's going to be something that nobody's ever seen before. We're going to do it in a way that fits with the overall look of The Chosen.
So a big thing for Dallas was he didn't want a flat platform. He didn't want Jonathan to be looking like he was just standing on a platform and the waves were moving around him.
So I think the thing that's going to be the least distracting of all of the distracting options we have, it's if the water never stops moving and neither do his feet. I think you're onto something potentially interesting with the waterbed comment.
Mm-hmm. Different ideas were kicked around about, okay, what could kind of travel with the surface, and Jonathan and Shahar could be on that surface. Will was the one who came up with this idea of these foam pads.
The main thing that we wanted to do was make sure that it wasn't easy for Jesus to walk on the water, because I think that's the one thing that everybody's done. I mean, even in the old Superman movies, we had somebody walking on water. It's always been done the same way. We wanted the water to be moving. We wanted waves. We wanted it to be. It was during the storm, right? So there's going to be some roughness to the water, and we wanted to figure out how we could make Jesus stand on this rough water. And so we knew that he was going to be moving with it. It was actually one day, I think maybe a couple months before we actually shot it. I was in a big box membership store or whatever, and I look over and they had this huge roll-up mat.
It's about the size of this table, actually. It's just a big, long rubber mat that you put in a pool or on a lake or whatever, and like 10 people can get on it. And it also just happens to be blue or green, depending on what you want. But that's exactly what it is. Even the picture shows people walking on it, on the water. But that might give that sort of movement that we're talking about, but still just enough stability that you can walk on.
Ultimately, we ended up using that exact mat and anchored it to some spots on the ground so that it didn't go flying off. That was the tricky part. And then, of course, it was up to Jonathan and Shahar to sell it.
Because sometimes hands, it feels like they're a little bit, we want to cancel them out maybe and just leave it like this. And then
Yeah, just maybe a little smaller. It looks like you'd need to do something with your hands because you're going to be unsteady. But maybe you were doing more than you needed to.
Yeah.
We didn't know where we were going to do it. We knew that we needed something that was very controllable. But something like that doesn't necessarily exist with easy access. So we knew that we were going to either have to build something or we were going to have to modify something that was existing in order to make it work for us.
We looked everywhere, literally even looked overseas, in other countries around the world for a tank. And there's a lot of tanks in the world that do this type of work, but not at this size, at this scope, right? And so this tank specifically was just one that just happened to be close. And that was kind of the selling point for us, is like, it's a couple hours away and it's big enough.
Is this the water we're going to turn into waves?
That's the right reference. Yeah.
Okay, water. I was expecting a little more water, to be honest with you.
We're sending videos back to Dallas and Keys for performance and keeping Keys updated on his lighting rigs. So it's just like this little tech team that's come ahead.
We are literally trying to recreate something that only one person has done. We're trying to rig it. We're trying to come up with all these different strategies. And so literally the prayer's been, God, help us figure this out in a way that honors you and glorifies you.
So all this behind me is nothing that's in my wheelhouse. Like, I never thought I'd want to do a scene like this. I'm not really good at this part of things. I've got teammates who are gonna make this all happen. My job, more than anything else, is to make sure that we're preserving the scene, preserving the moment. And so if we can deliver on the mechanics and the special effects so that they're good enough that you're not thinking about them the whole time, and you focus solely on Simon and Jesus and the emotion of that scene, then we'll have succeeded.
Wow.
Dude, this is cool. So they'll have a boat that'll take us to the boat.
Actually, the boat will come to you.
The boat will come to us.
Okay. On with the boat, bring it over, you jump in,
okay.
Take it back out.
Cool.
Whoa. Here we play.
Yep.
This is show business right here, folks. As I said earlier, it's going to be a lot of like one angle at a time. It's just going to be so much less organic than we normally are able to do. Every other scene from the Bible that we do in the show has been done before in some way, multiple times. This is the one that has never been done without it being absolutely embarrassingly awful. What we're going to do next is get you into the boat, get you out to the middle, and we'll actually just talk through the scene.
I had no clue we were going to do the walk on water scene this season.
I couldn't believe that we were going there and that we were going to be trying to capture that on film.
if there was any like indicator about like, oh, you thought it was gonna be easier? Welcome, you know, wet.
When you first go out and we get set and ready, you guys are gonna get wet. We've got rain machine above you, so you're gonna get wet from the beginning. So just be ready for that. All right, let's take them out. Boat's going out.
We're also going to test wind machines on you. See how that looks.
Here it comes, boys.
And it was like, all right, we're back.
Filming the scene where Jesus walks on the water was intense. It was surreal. I mean, we know the story and we went through the motion, you know, the logistics of it, we rehearsed and everything. But once the whole machine starts and you can hear it and it sounds like an army that's marching. And the waves starts, you know, hitting you and until you reach a point where you just completely rocked.
Action!
2 days of very harsh shooting in cold, artificial rain, in a wave machine. And it was just us, all of us in the boat, shivering, aching, together, watching Jonathan walk on that water.
And massive tank, huge lightning strikes, the crew is 30 feet away. We got safety people in the water, the boat's real, everything's real. The waves are pounding. It was as intense as it will look on the screen.
You want to hop in?
Yeah, hop in with us.
Yeah.
Come on. It's a bit cold, the rain's a little bit cold, but the waves are beautiful. They're just so calming.
You're so poetic.
We're together, that's what makes us warm.
Oh.
Not the wetsuit.
No.
Not the towels. No. Not the warming tent.
It's the air that's brushing
it's
up
the
against
energy that
not Jesus himself, like being a meter away from us. It's being together.
It is pretty crazy, all seriousness. You don't even need to act. It's just like you have wind, rain, and waves all on you, and it's just. And you have Jonathan and Shahar's awesome performance.
First of all, we get in the boats. The wave pool starts. We're like, this is the coolest thing any of us have done. We also, for some stupid reason, we were like, let's not wear our wetsuits. Feels like it's gonna be uncomfortable. We don't need that. We're gonna be in the boat. I know it's gonna be raining. They have a rain machine with this like whirlwind going. Within 10 seconds, we were like, what a mistake we've made.
We initially didn't put our wetsuits on, and we thought we'd just brave the cold without the wetsuits. And then we quickly discovered that was a mistake.
I think it was within 10 seconds that we looked at each other being like, oh, that's going to continue to happen, is it? Yeah. That was like instant.
When we're all on the boat and you're seeing Simon walking towards him and you're seeing Jesus, Jonathan, you know, just like standing out there with the lights going on and the thunder, and it's kind of hard not to just be actually in shock to see that this is going on. So that's an experience I will never forget for the rest of my life.
There was a moment where I looked over at George, who plays my brother John, and we were just drenched, and you know, we're like, you know, like rowing, and they're like, they cut the water, and I look over at him, and I was like, dude, what else do you need? Like, there's the very little CGI here. Like, we're in it, man. This is an adventure now, you know? Like, whether you wanted to be on Lord of the Rings or, you know, whatever. I did have one of those moments where I looked at all of the people around me and I was like, we're doing this, you guys.
There was this moment where it was right before they called action, but the rain was still pouring. And I kind of looked down at my hand and I was shivering. And I saw the boat in my periphery and the water next to me splashing against it, and it was moving. And I almost forgot where I was. It was so engaging, and I always wished for it, but I didn't expect for for such an experience to come so early in my career, and I'm just so thankful that I got to be a part of it.
I was talking to the other guys about this, like, that's what it means, Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad's like this high acclaim, good show, but we never have something like this. They had a CGI plane exploding like the second season of it, and all that other stuff. We have a flippin' tank and a 300 drum sound of a turbine behind us while we're in the rain.
That's the thing, as an actor, you're always chasing that authenticity feeling that when action starts, you forget you're in a show.
And I think that in that scene, if I can put it this way, all of our actors were gone. There was no actors on that boat.
Sometimes the noise and the rain and all, it helps you.
All amazing.
Yeah.
You see the waves, that's all amazing. All really, really helpful. The rain is like click. Doesn't matter what. You can be like playing video games, rain, you're inside the scene, you know?
Yeah. That's an experience I'll remember forever. That's probably right up there with the best experience I've ever had as an actor. Just being part of that with this family, I wish we could go back and shoot more, honestly.
There were definitely more than one moment where you're sitting there going, this is why we do what we do. Like, these are the kind of moments when, as a filmmaker, that you're in a giant blue tank with lights and fans and boats and all of these things going, I have no clue what this is gonna look like, but man, this is awesome. Like, just being in that moment. So for me, that was definitely one of those, you know, and we've got a lot of people that, even Chris, who's made, you know, $100 million movies, that's sitting there going, this is pretty cool. Like, this is cool. And so that was definitely a neat thing to do, those types of things. It's like doing fight scenes, or it's like doing car chases, or, you know, or explosions or anything. Like, those are the kinds of things as filmmakers you're like, let's do something cool. And that was cool.
Millions of people would kill to be where we're at right now. And so we did have a mix of those emotions of like, we're cold and this looks ridiculous and this is the most awesome privilege we have.
That second day was rough for me personally, and I was going back and forth between this is going to be awesome and this is going to be a complete disaster. And it's hard to see sometimes, because when you're there on the day, I mean, my job as a visual effects supervisor is to see what's not there yet. And I was seeing all the problems first, which is also my job. And so I have to work that, I have to work those two emotions together to make sure that I'm not only seeing problems, that I'm also seeing solutions as we go. So it was an absolute roller coaster for the entire time we were shooting. And in fact, when we drove away after the sun came up that second day, I was depressed. I thought we had screwed up the whole thing. I thought this was going to be a complete disaster. It's all ruined. But I needed that time to decompress, get some sleep, and relax. And as soon as I woke up the next day, I was like, no, I think we can make this work. I think we're fine. I mean, we're in pretty good hands at this point. We've had some rough times, but you know, God provides, and boy, he sure did in this one, for sure.
One of the things as a director that is really valuable is when you're filming a scene, and while you're filming it, you're hearing it, you're looking at it, you're watching the performance, and in and of itself, what you're seeing looks great and sounds great, and you go, this is gonna work. With a scene like this, we were filming it, and it's looking unbelievable. The performances are extraordinary. Shahar and Jonathan especially, but all of the actors, all of the disciples who, even in their smaller moments, this works. When the camera work, I'm just going, oh my gosh, it looks so good. But they're in a blue tank. So I finished the day and I'm like, well, I know that we did our part, but now I know that this scene is not going to look good for at least 8 to 9 months. And I'm not gonna have anything to do with it. Which, ironically enough, I think is where God wants me, is to be ultimately putting my loaves and fish together, bringing what I've got, doing the best that I can, and then there's sometimes where I have to go, all right, that's all I can do. I'm gonna have to just wait to see what happens and hope that everyone else delivers, and trusting that they will. People are like, how's it going? I'm like, I have no idea. I'll tell you in 6 months.
Yeah, if they're...
It's not fun to do. These nights are not they're fun for people watching, but it's not fun to do it.
No, I can tell that.
You can give them a
You're
warning,
never
but
comfortable. You never can just be like,
the
okay,
floor
this is
ready.
working. Let's keep going. You're like, every shot is a strain and a stress and a.
Yeah. Plan on me being.
Can
ready.
we catch up? Can we get everything we
So
need?
as soon as-
So in any scene like this, there's multiple stages. So there's the first stage where they're showing you a computer graphic of what it could look like and where you could move things around and what the shots can look like. And it's on a laptop, and it's with grids and and it's drawings of people and so you're like, it's hard to imagine this looking awesome, but you have to go through that stage. And then it's like looking at a sonogram. Like, is that really a baby? And you look at the pre-visualization of this, and you're like, is that really gonna look like they're standing on water? And then we film it, and then you start seeing the first draft of, okay, here's what we're playing with. Do you like these clouds? Do you like what this water looks like? And it just looks awful at first. Now, it's not supposed to look good. It's not the visual effects artist's fault. They're just trying to show you samples, but you're going, oh my gosh.
This was just more like broad stroke, like if you like this concept of this level of wave and this kind of disturbance, then and so what they do is they're taking it very violent early on, they're calming it down a little bit. It's still whitewashy, and then it's just about balance, right?
There's never a point where you can go, I can totally see how this is going to work. It just looks so clunky and awkward at every stage. Well, then when you get to the stage where now you're on the 10-yard line, the 5-yard line, now most of it does look good. Now you're looking at it and you're like, ooh, that looks awesome. Ooh, that looks awesome. That looks totally real. Well, what's the problem then? Well, then the stuff that doesn't look good stands out even more. And now you're going, oh my gosh, if we don't fix this part where it looks like Jonathan standing on a platform, we need to make it look like he's moving. Shahar looks like he's standing still while the waves are coming up to his knees, but his feet aren't moving. How do we move him up and down? How do we make that look real? Because even something like that.
That's what, yeah.
Like every time we saw Simon or Jesus, literally their whole body's going up and down, like especially when they were in the foreground, it looks awesome because your brain just kind of says, yeah, they're moving with the waves. And so I think the audience will buy that Simon is moving in the water, even if his feet are stable, if his whole body goes up at least once with a wave. This water that they filmed in a real lake with waves that they've now matched with what we filmed, it doesn't look like it matches perfectly. So how do we fix that? It's exposing the fact that most of it looks great, exposes the stuff that doesn't look as great. So it's not until the very end that you're truly excited and happy and believe it's going to work beautifully.
Every frame of visual effects costs a lot of money and it costs a lot of time, and in multiple respects, because you're not just building one shot. You then have to render it, you have to roto it, you have to do all these things to it to make it all look great. Sustaining that effect through that long of a sequence is also challenging because sometimes you can hide things, right? You can do little tricks to make one shot or two shots or three shots look pretty good, but it starts breaking down after that because your trick can only last so long and it starts to become more and more obvious. When you have a 10-minute sequence, that's a huge challenge, right? Because now all of a sudden all the tricks that you could do to hide this or that, they go out the window. You have to do it right every shot for 10 minutes. And so the sequence ended up being, I want to say it was like 163 or 165 shots, something like that. And so it was definitely challenging to go that long without sort of pulling back the curtain right in front of the audience and showing some of the dirty secrets that we do to try to get shots out the door. But we didn't have to. I mean, we had plenty of time, and we planned it pretty well, I think. And obviously, it looks great at the end of the day. So something went right.
But I'm not seeing the seams, right? Like the blend from the water to
it's great. I mean, the foam all that's added, right?
Yeah. So what's happening? It's not CG water. So it is. We found some really
footage.
We found some really good compositors, some very motivated compositors that went out and shot their own. This group of people in Australia, they're like, there's some storms coming, so they just went out and they started shooting footage, and then as stuff would come up, they'd go shoot more, and then it's just been this constant this is working, that's not working.
I mean, there's a lot of weight. When we read the scripts for the first time,
and these storylines are kind of coming together here. I mean, really the goal is the visual effects had to be of a level to not pull you out of that story. And so I think that's probably the biggest challenge was, and it was amazing because I think probably one of the most rewarding moments was when we were actually at Kappa Studios in the soundstage, in the mixing stage, because it was the first time that, okay, the storyline, then we brought a visual up to the storyline. Once that audio finally got to the same level and you actually saw the whole thing come together, was probably one of the most rewarding moments.
Please, don't let me go, please. I'm sorry, please. Don't let me go, please. I'm sorry, please don't let me. Peace! Be still!
I don't keep the lights.
That's the piece when I first saw it, I was like, am I correct that that's awesome, or am I missing something?
Thank you. Thanks, guys. We did it.
Did it?
Crushed it. The whole team. It was awesome. It was amazing. You're really going to love it.
Ben jij net als ons zo enthousiast over The Chosen en wil jij deze serie bij 1 miljoen mensen in de huiskamer krijgen? Dat is top, want we hebben jou nodig om dat te doen. Hoe dan? Wij hebben een WhatsApp-groep waarin we alle superfans bij elkaar brengen. En wat we daar doen is het geven van laatste updates. We geven jou materialen om in je omgeving te gebruiken, geven je updates over de laatste evenementen en brengen je soms zelfs in contact met de cast en nog veel meer. Ik zie je daar.